Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. I hope you're all doing well, and I'm excited in this video. I'm going to be doing my first skull, but if you know me, you know I don't just want to do a basic skull. I want to do something a bit different, and I'm going to try and pipe a 3D bloom into the skull and do it in 3 separate layers. Possibly do something with the teeth as well, so it's going to be quite an interesting experiment. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, let's get straight to the workshop and let's get on with it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. And today I'm excited. I'm going to be playing with my first ever skull. Let's Resin have sent me this large skull mold to try out, and I am really excited for this. So I've got a few different ideas because I don't just want a plain skull. It wouldn't be very me. So I'm planning to do this almost in sort of 3 layers if I can, with a couple of bit of embellishments as well, just to see if I can create a really cool effect with the skull. So I know it holds about 10 ounces of resin overall, so it's quite a big piece, and it'll be quite hefty, I think, once it's done. But I want to do it in almost 3 separate layers, and I want to see, can I get a 3D bloom in this head part? And it's going to be very ambitious, and I think the biggest problem is going to be is actually being able to fit my fingers in there, and they're not the fattest, but again, they're not tiny. To paste, to get the sort of bloom paste in there, and then it's how I'm going to sort of level this out so that hopefully I only want the first layer up to there, I suppose, covering in resin with the 3D bloom in. Then I want to try and get up to there, maybe just up to sort of the nose, and leaving the mouth part separate for another colour. Don't know, it's going to be interesting, and there's going to be a lot of experimentation with it. But the first thing I want to do is, I think with these molds, if you look, this is sort of a gum line, and these are the actual teeth. So I want to get those teeth white, or whitish at least, so that no matter what I pour, they stay white, because for me that's important on a skull. I don't know why, but the plan is hopefully to have this part almost black. This layer, this bit I want sort of an iridescent white, and this bit I want the bloom to be the standout piece, if I can do it. And again, I've never worked with this mold before, it's just a crazy thought that went through my head. So the first thing I'm going to do is just mix up some UV resin, I think, and try and UV on these teeth. Which you've seen me do before, but I can't do it too opaque, and I thought, you know what, why not have a golden shimmer to it, so it's like the skull's got gold teeth as well. I thought that would look pretty cool. So gonna get some UV resin and mix it up, and that's going to be sort of stage 1 with this, if it works. And I'm just trying to locate my UV resin because unfortunately I've run out of my Apex, so I'm back onto the cheap Temu stuff. So give me 2 seconds and I'll be right back. So here we go, guys, and this is just a cheap odorless, high transparency, anti-yellowing UV resin that I got from Temu ages ago, before I was introduced to Apex. So I'm just going to pour some of this into the pot, and I'm not going to need a lot because it is just for these teeth. And don't tell me I need to open a new bottle. There we go. But I don't think I'm going to need too much. And the key is here, I can't do it too opaque, because if I do, it won't cure. So if I have to do it in a few layers, then I have to do it in a few layers. It's just as simple as that. There we go. So that should be enough, I think, because I'm only going to be covering these teeth. So I know the iridescent powder will give it a sort of a gentle white anyway, but I want it to be a little bit whiter than that. So what I'm going to do is add a couple of drops of my Sea Deeper Sinker, because I did that in a previous experiment and it came out with quite a wishy-washy white, which I don't think will be too opaque to actually cure. If you can see there, it's still white, but it should hopefully still cure with that being, and again, it is an alcohol ink, so there is that risk. So we'll see. It will either cure or it won't. It's as simple as that. So, and again, just going to put a scoop of this. I think this is a gold shimmer iridescent powder. Nope, it's going to be blue. So he's going to have some bluish teeth. Oh, I love it when a project starts the right way. So I'm just going to get one of these silicone tools and give it a stir around. So there we go. Instead of gold teeth, we're going to have a blue, whitey, iridescent teeth, hopefully. And if you can see, there's just that little shimmer to it, but it does look mainly white. And I'm just hoping that this isn't too opaque to not cure. So this is stage 1, and as I say, there's probably going to be about 5 or 6 stages to this skull. So you'll have to bear with me. But all I want to do is go around these teeth, and if you look at the mould, this is the teeth, these are the gums either side. And I literally want to get all of those little teeth in the middle, in this white, bluey, iridescent powder, so that they stay white no matter what. So again, I'm going to try and angle it for you on the camera, but forgive me if I don't get you the best camera angle here. So I'm going to start in the centre, I think, of this mould, and try and do sort of 4 teeth at once, I think will work the best. Don't want to do any more than that, because otherwise it'll all start shifting and go absolutely everywhere. But I'm just hoping that this will just sort of add to the overall effect of this skull. So there we go. And again, I'm having to hold this in place, and I'm going to cure from the underside first, like so. And most of that has gone into those first 2 teeth. And I was trying to do 4 at once, but maybe I'm going to have to take it a little bit more gentler than that and get all of these teeth in the way that I want them. But the good news is it seems to be curing. So I'm going to speed this up whilst I do the rest of them, so you haven't got to sit here for probably half an hour watching me just put these teeth in. But the process is going to be exactly the same. Literally just going round until I'm confident that every one of these teeth is covered by this white UV resin. And it's going to be finicky, but I'm hoping that the results are going to be worth it. And I often find that with resin, guys, the more time you put into a project, the better it turns out. And again, I'm really excited. This is going to be my first ever skull. And again, a few of you have asked where I got this UV torch from as well. It's just off Amazon, to be honest with you guys, but it seems to do the trick. I'll link it in the description, so if you do want to get yourself one, you can get yourself one. But I just find it a lot easier, especially for projects like this, rather than getting a nail lamp out. And if you can see there, just before I start to fast forward, that is pretty much those first 6 teeth in there. So I'm happy with that, and I'm happy that it's curing. Now I'm probably going to give the whole thing an extra cure afterwards as well, just to be doubly safe before I move on to the next part. But so far, it seems to be working as a technique. So as I say, I'm going to fast forward it now, and I'll come back once I've finished these teeth. There we go, guys, and I don't know if you can see this properly, but it is curing, which is great. So you can just see where I filled in, try to leave the gums, and just do those teeth in the mould. So I think I'm happy with that. I'm just going to keep on curing it round, and then we're going to move on to the second part, which is hopefully going to be putting a bloom in. But I think it's going to get difficult, and the biggest thing for me with this bloom is going to be getting this at the right angle where I can actually still get that piping bag inside there to do sort of the spiral design, but we'll see how we get on. I might put another layer on this first though, because it doesn't feel like it's completely filled. But if you look on the front, that's what I'm hoping to have, that stark contrast with white teeth, and then maybe something like black along this part, but we'll see. But I am excited. As I say, my first skull, so I want to make it proud. Want to make myself proud with it. And again, I don't think I've ever seen a 3D bloom popping out the head of a skull done in this way, where it's actually piped directly in. So it's going to be interesting just to see if I can do it. So pretty happy that that's cured. And what I'm going to do, I say this holds about 10 ounces, but I'm only going to mix up 3 for the first layer. And again, it's important that you do this sort of thing in stages, guys, as well, because unless you're filling this with a deep pour, it's quite a deep mold and you've got a risk of a flash cure. So that's why I'm just going to do the first stage, hopefully getting a layer here, just enough to sort of fill, so that I can try and get one of these blooms in. And we'll see if it works. That's why I'm saying try. But I'm pretty happy. His teeth are in there in UV resin and they look fairly cured. So hopefully they will stay put whilst I do the rest of this process. So just going to mix up 2.5 ounces, well 3 ounces of resin probably. And then it's how I can get it tilted on its side enough that hopefully I've got enough room to A, put that bloom in, but also get the look I want. So I'll see you guys in a second once I've mixed up 2.5 ounces of resin. So guys, we are back and the resin is currently 32.7, so almost there. With this resin, and this is the Apex High Gloss, I want to wait till it gets to about 35 to 36 degrees because it is quite a low viscosity resin, but look at that for crystal clearness. And that's the key to this. I don't want any bubbles in this. But I just wanted to get everything else ready whilst that's still heating up. So I am going to be adventurous as always. And whether this is going to shoot me in the foot or not, I don't know, because it's going to be so hard, I think, to just get in there with a piping bag and get the design on there, and to try and get the level of the resin just above the eyes. But we're going to try. So I've got some alcohol inks, lemon yellow, Sagilite, and orange from Let's Resin. I'm going to be using those. But I'm also going to try, and I do say try at this point, some mica in there as well, because I love the effect of having mica in your blooms as well. I think it creates an extra 3D element to your blooms. So that's that blue shimmer one, and I don't think that will go right with, I think this one's just a gold shimmer from the looks of it. So I'm going to use some of that in the white bloom paste. Then I'm going to do my usual, mix up some papaya and some gold mica. Now I'm just using mica this time rather than metallic, just to see what effect that has as well. And I'm not going to pipe that in. I'm going to try and get that in with a stick in between. I think it's going to be hard enough just to pipe the white in. So I'm going to get everything ready for the white. So again, for the white, I'm just going to use probably half a... This is the blue one again. I picked up the wrong one. This is the one that I think is just gold. So again, I'm not going to put a lot of this in, but I want to add a little bit just to add a bit of shimmer in case it works. So if you look there on a standard scoop, it's probably about 3/4 of a scoop. And I think, oh, might as well make it an even scoop. So that's an even scoop of that iridescent gold powder. And I'm just hoping I get this right, guys, because it's my first skull and I'm really excited to have the mold. And I want to create something unique. So that's that, and then I'm just going to put a drop of the Let's Resin Ocean White in there, which is what I always use for my blooms. Again, you can use pretty much any white paste you want, but it's just the one that I like. It's the one that I've got used to using, and I think that's the key with resin. You find one that you like and you get used to, and you use it. So there we go. So that is 1.5, and look at the static coming off that mould. I hope that doesn't interfere later. So that's going to be my white. I'm just going to move this out of the way as well, because I don't want to knock anything either when I'm doing this, because if I knock this off that little paper cup it's balanced on, it could be disaster, guys. So let's hope I don't. And then the next is this papaya. So again, it's one of my favourite oranges and it's really vibrant. It reminds me of a bird of paradise flower. So I want it predominantly papaya. So a scoop of that. And then I'm just going to put half a scoop of gold in to give it a bit of a golden tinge. And I want sort of a fiery bloom here, because I think that will look really cool with the design I've got in my head. Now what's in my head won't necessarily materialise, so there you go, about half a scoop of the gold, won't necessarily materialise to actually come to fruition in this skull, but do you know what? When something's in my head, I've just got to try it and hope that I can create something special. So just going to check the temperature again now. And we're at about 35 degrees, so I think we're good to go. Now I'm going to need more white, I think, than this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is pour in enough in there so that I've got a white, which I think that's fine. And then a tiny bit in this one for my orangey gold. And again, I don't want them too thick. And as you can see, this is quite a runny resin, the one coat. But I think it should still work. As I say, I've given it enough time now to just heat up. Now I'm going to very gently just pour this in, because the last thing I want to do is add any bubbles. And at the same time, I'm looking on the side as to where that level's coming up to. And as I say, I don't know if this is going to work or not, guys. I'm just hoping it does and it creates a cool effect. There we go, I'm happy with that. So that is mainly in that top crown of the skull, which is what I wanted. And there's no bubbles in there, so that is a great start. There's not even any at this. Oh, in fact, there is a tiny one. So again, you shouldn't really use your torch in your mold, guys, but I'm just going to give it one blast like that and hopefully get rid of those bubbles. So it's above the eye. I want to see if I can balance it a little bit more forward on this cup, like so. I'm happy with that as a level. And I can't see any bubbles in there, so that is great. So next I'm just going to mix up my white first. Oh, I just hope this just doesn't sink straight down. I've got a feeling. Let's stop playing the Black Eyed Peas music in the background. But there we go. So this is, let's say it's got a slight golden shimmer to it, which I think will look really nice. So that's my white. I'm going to mix it again a little bit more, but what I want to do now is just whilst it's settling is get my alcohol inks in there. And again, I think this is going to be enough of a challenge as it is, but I think that's reasonably level, which is what I want to keep it. So first drop I'm going to go in with is orange. I'm trying to keep it in the center. There we go, one orange. And it is spreading all the way around, guys. So this is going to be a challenge. Next I'm going to go in with the red. I want to try and get one right at the end. That didn't work. And there we go. So that's orange and red are in there at the minute. Then I'm going to add some lemon yellow just for a bit of lightness in there as well. And you can see how it really lightens the colour up. And then what I'm going to do is try and gently mix those around a little bit inside there. Like so. Without incorporating any bubbles. And if I think this bit's hard, I'm dreading the actual piping. But there we go. I'm just trying to get some wispy colours all the way around, as you can see. Blending those alcohol inks in there, and I know it's not the best camera angle, guys, but if I'm being honest, with a video like this I don't think I'm going to be able to get you a great camera angle, because it's hard enough for me to be able to actually just work with it. But as you can see, I've just mixed those around, those inks together like so, and that's my inks pretty much done. It also helps me see the level a bit better, which is good. So that is pretty much the easy part. Now I'm going to mix the white again, and pour it into my piping bag. And I'm just wishing that the piping bags were thinner at this point. I don't know if you can get thinner ones. But in with my white, like so. And it is feeling a little bit warm, so hopefully I've got my temperatures right. And then the next one is this gold and papaya. And again, I think I'm absolutely crazy for even attempting this, guys, with with no prior experience of a skull mould. But, you know, that's what this channel's about. And look at that for a lovely, rich, orangey, goldy colour. Stunning. If I get this right, I think it could be one of my favourite pieces of all time. So hopefully we'll get there. And Tracy from Mini Scenes, if you're watching, I'm sorry, I am reusing these gloves. I promise you I've got some new ones on order. And she's told me off basically for reusing my nitrile gloves. So I'm going to get some more. So if you're watching this, Tracy, I apologise. And I have got everything in hand. So here we go. This is going to be such a nightmare. Oh, this is where I think it's all going to go wrong, guys. So I'm getting my piping bag. And as you can see, there's not a lot of resin in there, which is good. But it's going to be, if I can get it in there and move it around. And I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to see much of this on camera. Because literally, I've got to get in there and try and go all the way around whilst knocking this mould around. And oh, this is where it's going to go wrong. I can feel it. But you don't know unless you try these things. So I've got a little tissue at the side of me just for it to drip onto naturally. And I'm deliberately going to keep this quite a thin hole. Like so. There we go, and it is coming out naturally. So here we go, I'm just going to go for it, guys. Because I don't want to create the B word if I can avoid it. And I don't think this is going to be one of my most perfect blooms. But as long as I can get a bloom effect, I'll be happy. You know, there we go. And a little bit around the eye as well. And I can just see in there's a couple of bits that seem to have been heavier than the others. So I'm just gonna go around with my tool and try and prevent the B word if I can. Just by spreading it around a little bit like so. And as I say, this is probably my most difficult bloom yet. And it's just because I can't actually reach in anywhere. And I don't know if there's enough in there for it to bloom. So I am going to go in with another little bit if I can. Because again, with a bloom, you want there to be enough for it to be able to bloom as well. And do you know what, guys? This is where it starts going wrong. But again, you don't know unless you try these things. And I'm always one of those that likes to experiment and see what happens. So that's now just sort of dripping. So I don't want to risk putting any more of the white in. I think it's either going to bloom or it isn't. If not, hopefully I'll still get a cool effect. And I've slightly shifted the mould now, which was always my worry, is balancing it on this paper cup. Come on, balance. Thank you. Like so. Now for this, as I say, with this gold, I'm actually going to try and go in with a long stick and see if that works a little bit easier than it was piping. So again, just going to try and get a little bit on my stick and try to go round in there. And the key here is I don't want anything to be too heavy and sink. And as I say, this is definitely my most difficult one yet. And it's just because of the working space in there. There isn't a lot, basically. and it's obviously precariously balancing on this cup, which at any point could tip over. And that is in the back of my mind as well, is to make sure that it doesn't. And I really want to avoid any bees. But I want to make sure that there's enough in there that it's going to still create, hopefully, a pretty cool design. There we go. And I think that's it for me. So that's all I'm going to be using. And now I'm going to have to try and get my petal design in, which is again going to be very interesting. So I'm going to do my standard design. So I'm going to go trying to keep it reasonably central, pulling it all into the center, or where I think the center is. Again, from this side, pulling it into the center, trying not to knock the mold. And from the bottom as well, like so. And splitting the difference. Oh God, this is not fun, guys. If this works, I'm going to be amazed. There we go. I think I've got some petals in there. Tiny swirl in the center. There we go. And I think that's pretty much all I can do at this point. I'm happy with where it is. If anything, I'd like it a little bit more forward, but I don't want to risk moving the cup at this point because it seems stable. And that's it. And I think we're going to get bigger petals on the outside toward the back of the skull and smaller ones towards the inside. And it's just the way the skull is shaped, unless I can shift it ever so slightly. No, I'm not going to, because it's going to move that bloom, and I don't want the bloom to shift. So at this point, I'm just going to leave it, and we'll see what happens. Again, I'm being tempted at the minute by Petri effect and trying to get some Petri in there as well, but I think that'll be doing too much with one piece, so I'm going to try that in another experiment. So I'm just going to leave this now to cure. Then we'll come back tomorrow, put another layer in, and hopefully we'll have a bloom in there, but I won't know until it's cured, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, and we're back, and it's been about 5-6 hours, and if you can see in there, the thing that I was hoping wouldn't happen has happened, and that bloom has really shifted. And obviously it's because I was leaning the mould, so of course the bloom's going to shift. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But I still think we could have a pretty cool effect in there. So I'm going to go in with the second layer, which will then only leave one layer tomorrow. So I'm going to mix up... I'm thinking about, well, we used 3 ounces for that. I'm thinking 4 ounces. So I'm going to mix up 4 ounces of resin just to go in with this next layer, which I'm hoping will pretty much go up to where the gums are almost. And I'm probably going to have to lean it again slightly differently to try and get that effect. But we're going to do it now. So I'm going to mix up 4 ounces of resin, because I'm hoping to literally fill it. And I might actually keep it flat this time. Because I want it filling just to there, I think. Literally. Just above where the nose is, just before the gums. So I am going to do it. So I'm going to mix up 4 ounces of resin. Hopefully that's going to be enough. And then for this layer, I'm just going to do it almost black, I think. I think black with some glitter. Just to really pop whatever design we've got in that bloom, if we have got a design in there. And then I'm going to use quite a heavy golden glittery colour, I think, for the base as the final layer tomorrow. So I'm just going to mix up, as I say, 4 ounces of resin. I'm not going to bother with the debubbler this time, because this layer is going to be black resin dye with some glitter. So I'll see you guys in a sec. There you go, guys. I've just mixed up 5 ounces of resin. I don't think I'm going to need it all, actually. I think I've gone a bit overzealous. But I really want to fill this dragon drip mould as well that I've got at the side of me, because this is one that I actually even forgot about. It's been on the go for about a month, and I just want enough to fill him up. Now, if you've got one of these sleeping dragon moulds like I have, what you've got to remember with these is, unfortunately, I don't know if there's a defect in whoever manufactures these moulds, but most of them are unlevel in the fact that it seems to go over the edge. So just put a little popsicle stick underneath, and that should help level it back out just enough so that it pulls it back this way into the head and the tail. So there's a tip for you if you've got that sleeping dragon mould. But to this, all I'm going to add, those of you that have been watching the channel know that I've slowly been getting into my glitters, which is has taken a while. But I really like the look of them against the black resin dyes. I just think it gives you a sparkle which nothing else does. So you can see there I've put probably two drops of the black resin dye in, and then I'm going to use this silver glitter in this layer. Hint hint, there's a clue for layer number 3. And I'm just going to put 6 scoops of this in because I do want it to show. There we go, that is an awful lot of glitter. But there we go. The great thing, as I say, about this laser glitter, if you get it from Resiners, it comes in 3.5 ounce bottles, which should last hopefully quite a while. So now I'm just going to mix this all through. And I'm hoping that I can pour this so that it just goes past the nose of the skull and hopefully goes to just under where the teeth are. Is the plan. Now whether it works or not's another matter, because the bloom's already gone wrong on it, and I don't know what it will look like on the other side, but it certainly won't be the effect that I was going for, so I'm going to have to think again with the bloom, but I'm still persisting with it because it'll be my first skull and it's a good learning experience if nothing else. So, and I don't want to waste the resin that's already in there, if I'm being honest, by starting again. So as you can see, you get almost that, for me it's like a space effect by mixing the silver glitter with the black. And I'm just looking for my wipe so I can reuse this stick again. There we go. So all I'm going to try and do now is watch this at the side and try and fill it just past the nose until it just gets to the gums, and that's why I've put it back on the flat level. And you can tell it's cured enough now because that resin isn't moving that I've already put in. It's already staying in there at that sort of angle. And again, I don't know what effect we're going to get with this now. It's definitely not going to be a 3D bloom though, I don't think. So here we go. I'm just going to start pouring in. And I'm just watching on the side to see when it gets to that sort of level, just above the nose sort of thing. And again, it's the first time I've worked with this mould from Let's Resin, so it's going to be interesting either way, I think, for me at Demold. And it's just going past the nose now. I want it to go a little bit more though. Just up to sort of the edge of those gums, I think. And now I'm just going to be really slow because I think it's about there, guys. I think it's about where I want it. Which is nowhere near as much resin as I thought it was gonna be. Touch more. And I think that is probably about it. Now again, if anything, it's a little bit further forward than what I wanted. So I'm just gonna lift it a little bit with one of these popsicle sticks. And hopefully just tilt it back that tiny bit to make sure I've got that coverage, because what I do want is on the inside there, I want this layer to at least fully cover and go to the back. So what I might do is actually just get a little bit on the stick and see if I can just push it into the back there, very gently, just moving it up so I know that it's covered up to that edge. And whether it will settle like that, I don't know. But again, this is just an experiment at this point. Having never worked with this mould before. There we go, and it just needs a tiny bit more, I think, going up towards that edge there. And that should make sure that hopefully I've got that coverage in there the way that I want. And there's certainly going to be enough, I think, to fill this drag and drip mould, so we'll get to demold him. In fact, I want to lift that up even more because it's coming forward more than I expected. So again, I'm just going to use another one of these popsicle sticks, and hopefully that will just tilt it back that little tiny bit more to where I want it, and then leave. I want it to be literally just under that nose. Now that is slightly tilted back now, so that should do it hopefully. So I'm just going to again very quickly torch to get rid of any bubbles. Probably shouldn't be doing this with the mould, guys, but I just don't want any bubbles in this. With it being my first one, he's quite special. So now I'm just going to fill the rest of this resin into the drag and drip mould. And hopefully should be able to demold this tomorrow, touch wood. And this one I actually painted in chameleon powder before I started using it as a drip mold, so hopefully it'll come out with a pretty cool effect. Here we go, and actually it's the other way. I've put the popsicle sticks on the wrong side. It's here at the back where it actually goes over. So again, just going to put another one under there like that, and that should keep it reasonably level. Hopefully just pushing it forward that tiny bit into the head so I get a nice flat finish. Hey guys, and it's the next day, and that layer seems pretty well cured, and it pretty much got to where I wanted, just above the gums. Now for this final layer, I've just mixed up another 5 ounces. I don't think I'll need 5, I think it's more like 4, but we'll find out. And I've got this laser paste from Temu, which I don't know, but to me it looks very similar to this laser glitter, perhaps with less colours. So that's what I'm going to use for this final layer. And again, it should be interesting. It just looks like a glittery paste, to be honest with you. Which is probably what it is, but I'm also going to incorporate some of the glitter as well. So this is my resin, and obviously anything spare I can always start off another drip mold. So I'm going to go quite heavy with this, giving it a stir around, and that to me is just glitter. I don't think there's anything else in there, so I'm going to go quite heavy because I want it to be quite a solid look, like so. And I just wanted to see how this will look with it being a new paste of mine, and B, hopefully what it will look like in the finished skull. So again, this has gone through the debubbler, so I'm just being a bit cautious because I don't want to put bubbles in now I've gone to the effort of actually taking them out. But yeah, this just looks like glitter, this laser paste. But not enough glitter for my liking actually for this layer, so I am going to add some of my laser glitter as well, just to give it another dimension. And to think, a few projects ago I never used glitter in anything, but I want it to be quite opaque, I suppose, and without too many transparent layers, and that's why I'm just adding some of this laser glitter to it as well. So this is the laser paste with laser glitter added, so it shouldn't get much more sparkly than this. So again, just mixing it through, trying to do it quite slowly so I'm not incorporating too many new bubbles, and I think this would look cool as the final layer. Look at that. So there will be an element of transparency. Now if I didn't want that, I could always add some pigment or tint, but actually I quite like that idea of having an element of transparency on the base layer. So All I'm going to do now is fill it, pretty much. And this is where we find out I could have got away with 3 ounces rather than 5 ounces of resin. Just giving it one more stir just to make sure it's all thoroughly mixed, which I think it is. And here we go. The last layer of the skull. And I can't wait to demold this. Just to see all of those details in the skull. And don't forget, guys, I've updated the affiliate links for Let's Resin. And there's an updated discount code, which is ccukresin, if you're after anything from Let's Resin. I love their molds. I love their resin. And I love all the powders and things that they do. So, always good quality products, I find, from Let's Resin. And they're normally pretty quick with shipping as well, which is great. So, again, just making sure it's completely full. I think that's about it, guys. I don't think I can fit any more in. And we will see what it looks like. I've got a tiny bit left, actually, but not as much as I thought I would. So I'm just going to do another rabbit, I suppose. Drip mould. And pour the rest into there. So we will have a very glittery rabbit head on this guy. But that's pretty much it. It's my little girl's birthday today as well, so I'm going to go out and celebrate with her, but I wanted to get this finished first. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for demold. And let's see what this skull turns out like. See you in a sec. Hey guys, and we are back, and it is time to demold this skull. So I'm very excited to see what he's turned out like. Hopefully he's turned out well, but you never know until you demold. So I'm expecting this top layer to still be a tiny bit soft because it's not been a full 24 hours, but you guys know me, I'm impatient. I want to see what he looks like. And I've never demolded one of these, so it's going to be interesting. There we go. So from the sides, loosen up around the edge, and then I think just go for it. Ooh, yep, not an easy one to demold. Just going to try and fold it over and see what we've got. Oh, they need to make these easier to demold. Here we go, bit by bit, he's coming out. Wow, these are difficult to demold, guys. Right, so he is demolded. And I didn't think we'd get a bloom because I saw everything shifting in the way that it did. But you know what? That's still a pretty cool effect, I think, in the skull head. Very, very strange. And excuse the burping in the background. That is Reggie, I promise, not me. But I'm sure there's a way to get a bloom in this. So I'm going to figure it out. But for my first skull, guys, I'm pretty happy with this guy. He's got the teeth turned out well. In fact, is that a tiny bit of uncured UV? There we go. So that's wiped. That's wiped off. So really cool, I think. For a first attempt, not bad. Let me know what you think in comments, but really cool mould, and I've enjoyed playing around with it, you know. And that is just such a weird effect. It's almost like hair. So my first skull, very glittery. Before I get any comments, I've noticed that, but I think he's come out really cool. So let me know what you think in comments, guys, and I'll get you a few more photos as well. But apart from that, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel, and thank you to all of the members and subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. But look at that. Pretty happy with that for a first skull. So let me know what you think in comments, and I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.